What's up, everybody? Welcome to
And guess what, Wilson? We just lost Brinson.
We did it, Breech. We did it.
We voted him off the island before the start of the Sunday recap show for week 10. And Wilson, we've been playing this queue for 9 weeks. Can you believe it took this long?
We did it. It took 2.5 months, Breech. We got Brinson to do the very beginning of the introduction for the week 10 NFL recap show on Sunday night.
become best friends. Yep.
And then he just said adios a week before they go to Mexico to play Monday night. How do you explain that?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Big Six Podcast, CBS Sports Daily NFL Podcast. I'm Will Brinson. I apparently have a computer Chrome problem. I'm your host, John Breech. Ryan Wilson. You already heard from them. What were you? You were talking about Breech leaving for Mexico during the NFL season, vacationing as a working NFL writer in Mexico during the season. Is that what you're talking about?
Turns out, no, I wasn't. We were talking about you. The one time you showed up early, then you get kicked off by the internet gods for reasons.
Like the internet gods waited till I was literally 3 seconds into the podcast. We're like, and you die. Anywho, smash the like button if you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. Turn on alerts, subscribe. You get notified when we go live after every primetime game, after every Sunday night. And we will get to, speaking of Mexico, that's where the 49ers are going next week. We'll get to the 49ers in a minute, but we're going to start with probably the game of the year. And you know that it's the game of the year, Wilson, when you get an alert from the CBS Sports app. Everyone should download it, use it. If you text or DM me at any point and you have like the Yahoo app, you're like, what's up with this score? I don't ever want to talk to you again. Use the CBS Sports app. John Breech wrote the 5 craziest moments of the Bills-Vikings game on Sunday, and it was a great article.
Let me just say that how crazy is a game that it can have 5 crazy moments where every single one of them are jaw-dropping, oh my God, did this just happen? And 4 of the 5 happened in the final 60 seconds and or overtime.
So full disclosure, just from, I like to be honest with our listeners. Do you guys have Y guides where you are? It's like a couple.
No, I don't.
It's a YMCA activity. You know, it's called spending time with your family, being a good father. Wilson, I know you don't know about this.
Yeah, never have done any of that.
The point being is that they have a fall outing, and look, on a Sunday, I'd rather work and watch football, but I don't want to be a POS father. So when out there, I will tell you this: when a game has gone off the rails, and I'm watching it on my phone, but it's going off the rails when I have people like random dudes I know who just saw us like standing by where our crew was, walk by and be like, dude, did you see that Justin Jefferson catch? And then my dad is texting me. When my dad is texting me about a Justin Jefferson catch, you know that a game has gone bananas. So Breech, in order, give us your top 5 moments from the Bills-Vikings game.
All right, let's start with number 5. Came in the third quarter. It was Dalvin Cook's 81-yard touchdown run. Look, this is a play that people forgot about. That's how bonkers this game was. The second longest touchdown run of the season, the longest touchdown run of Dalvin Cook's career, and the Vikings' longest touchdown run since 2012 happened in this game, and no one remembers it because everything else that happened was so crazy. And that kind of spearheaded the Vikings comeback. They were down 27-10 at the time. The Cook touchdown cut it to 27-17. And then the next 4 on the list, I'm just going to all tie together really quick because they are all related. Forget Josh Allen's overtime interception. He had that big interception in the second half on 4th and 2. This is, I get it. You have to get rid of the ball. So I do like that he threw it, because you hate when a quarterback takes a sack on 4th and 2. Literally, is anything better than taking the sack or throwing it out of bounds?
Remember that time Derek Carr spiked the ball on the ground like 4th down?
Yes, and then people got mad because he got called out for it. And no, you got to try to give someone a chance. That was an interesting decision.
Let's stop and talk about that quickly. So 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 27-17, following the Dalvin. Right. Okay. Exactly. So it's at the plus 7-yard line. 4th and 2, and Allen said after the game, he goes, I just threw it in the end zone because I wasn't going to take a sack there. At that point, you're out of options. So, Breech, you're on team field goal there to go up 30-17?
Well, my feeling there is that you're up. If you go up 30-17, they have to get 2 touchdowns, which And obviously they ended up scoring 33 anyway, but that took till overtime. It just changed the complexion of how the opposing coach is going to coach against you when they're down 2 touchdowns versus a touchdown and a field goal. So yes, at that point in the game with, like you just said, with just under 11 minutes left, I'm taking the field goal on 4th and 2.
Here's the other thing. Pat P made the interception, our own Pat P, all things covered along with our dude B-Mac. He returned the ball to the Buffalo 30-yard line. In the process, Josh Allen, in his frustration and infinite wisdom, tried to punch the ball out, went down to the ground, hands on head, and you're like, oh my God, he tore an ACL, he broke his ankle. No, it's his right elbow that was already not 100% when they played. And you're like, dude, just get out of the way. Don't do that to compound the fact that you're already out there and playing when you shouldn't.
That's how Cam basically ended his career, was trying to make a tackle on a pick 6 attempt by the
and here's the thing about Pat P. He did not have a great game in the first half. Devin Singletary juked him twice on one drive in which Devin Singletary ended up in the end zone. I think Singletary scored twice in this game. So it was a nice comeback in the second half from Pat P. And that ended in a Kirk Cousins-like celebration on the plane ride home.
Yeah, that next play.
Okay.
So
and I do, after you get through the plays, I do want to circle back and talk about the last 10 quarters of Josh Allen's play, but go through your plays first, Breech.
Okay, so we'll the next 3 tied together. One of the plays on this list is the crazy catch you guys already mentioned, Justin Jefferson, 4th and 18. The man had literally no business catching this pass. Kirk Cousins just throws it up. The defender has it in 2 hands. Jefferson has it in 1 hand, falls to the ground, and like a magic show, like Harry freaking Houdini, rolls over and has the ball in his hand. I have no idea how that happened.
You feel like a big magician guy, so that's a great analogy there.
It was like the Odell Beckham catch, but if someone else was also trying to catch it at the same time, it had a much better leverage and position, and could have like I guess smaller hands. I don't know. Like, there's no way that should be a catch. There's like 6 or 7 moments when that catch is happening where you're like, this is not going to be a catch. It's an interception. And then you're like, oh, he's actually got the ball. And you're like, that's not going to be a catch. That's not going to be a catch. That's going to be a catch. You're like, oh my God, he caught that ball. Where does it rank for you all on all-time catches? Because it's up there, right?
Number 2 behind George Pickens' catch against the Browns in that Thursday night game earlier.
Wait, this season or all time?
All time.
I mean, I think it's top 5.
Obviously, the catch is your favorite, Breech.
I'd have to think about it. You know, like there's the helmet catch in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
There's a few, but
let's say this season. Where does it rank in this season?
I feel like it's number
easily 1, right?
George Pickens is 1 for me for personal reasons.
Stop it.
Mitch Trubisky threw the ball. Imagine Mitch Trubisky having that sort of ability to complete a pass without the help of George Pickens. Of course, this catch is fantastic and amazing, and it's probably number 1 without
this catch is number 1 for the year for sure.
Well, we'll see. We have
currently
3 months ago. Yeah,
and I would bet that, you know, when the ESPYs do that, it's like play of the year NFL. Like this catch should be minus 175 to be the play of the year.
Yeah, especially given the circumstances. So Breech mentioned 4th and 18, minus 27-yard lines just over 2 minutes ago. The ball he came down with the ball, JJ did, at the plus 41. Actually 120 to go by that point. And the Bills are winning 27-23. So what happens next, Breech?
So now we all know that the Vikings drive straight down the field. They get to the 1-yard line. It looks like they're going to win the game, but no, Kirk Cousins gets stopped at the goal line on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. It looks like game over. It should be game over. The Vikings only have 1 timeout left. There's only 50 seconds left. So literally all the Bills have to do is gain 1 inch twice. Get it on 1st down. Vikings call timeout. Get it on 2nd down. Run out the clock. Game over.
It's over. Yeah.
That's it.
It's over. Yeah. Really the only thing you can't do in that situation is try to sneak and fumble it and have the opposing team recover it in the end zone. And
it's funny you say that, because, well, even if you take a safety, that's not even the worst thing in the world.
Right. I guess like Josh Allen, it would be better off if Josh Allen turned around and launched the ball into the stands. I think, would that be safety? Or would that just be a
and the thing is, no, I mean, yeah, because it's backward lateral out of the end zone. But so and Sean McDermott wasn't thinking safety, because if you take the safety there, it becomes
A 2-point game, and you could lose on a field goal.
And you could lose on a field goal, and there's still 50 seconds, and the Vikings still have one timeout, so they would just have to get in field goal range with one timeout. So I think he felt like there was enough time for Minnesota to do that, so we're not taking the safety. And obviously, Josh Allen fumbles the snap. And I think I read the stat that in the past 20 years, that has only happened on the goal line twice. And Brinson, you know who the other person to do it was?
Phillip Rivers, I'm guessing.
Nope, his name rhymes with Josh Allen.
Josh Allen is the only person to do this over the past 20 years is fumble at the 1 yard line like that.
The way you said it with such confidence, I assumed it was somebody I really liked.
So Breech, I wanted to mention going back 3 plays prior to Kirby not getting it on that final little plunge into the end zone, coming to pinch it short. The first down is when Kirby tripped. He was tripped by right guard Ed Ingram. It happened earlier in the game, and he tried to throw the ball backwards like he was Marcus Mariota the other night. And luckily, the running back, I think it was Dalvin Cook, recovered it. This time, he didn't do anything. He just held on to it. And that took them from what was like inside the 2 after another JJ catch, after the catch we've just talked about, and then set up the chain of events that got them into that situation where Kirby had to go for it on and didn't make it there on 4th down, setting up the most improbable play, it feels like, in this season.
Improbable. So you have Josh Allen fumbling it. You have Eric Kendricks recovering it in the end zone, which, by the way, according to the NFL, was the first go-ahead non-offensive touchdown scored by a trailing team in the final minute of the 4th quarter since 1986. So that is how improbable this is. We're talking about things that happened in 1986 when Wilson was 30.
You know, Wilson was like driving his Camaro up and down.
I was in 6th grade.
86.
I was in 6th grade in 1986, thinking about wrestling. By the way,
today marked the first time in NFL history where 3 teams, and they were all from the same division too, which is wild. The Vikings, the Lions, and the Packers all won their games after trailing by 10+ points entering the 4th quarter. Vikings, of course, with the Bills, Lions, and the Bears, and Packers over the Cowboys. Pretty nuts.
Rich Jarnberger, who used to play for the Patriots, now does a radio show, actually tweeted this out. I thought it was pretty funny. Kirk Cousins and Josh Allen had back-to-back 2 of the worst QB sneaks in NFL history.
Somehow. The QB sneak works like 90% of the time. We saw it fail twice in a row. And then obviously the funny thing was there's still 48 seconds left in this game. The Bills are only down a field goal, and it was like, you have too much time for Josh Allen, and they did. And that brings us to another crazy play, which would have been even crazier if the Vikings had lost, is that the Bills got into field goal range thanks to a long connection from Josh Allen to Gabe Davis. The 20-yard throw really set up what ended up being the game-tying field goal. The only problem is it was an incomplete pass, but the officials decided not to review it. This was with obviously under 2 minutes left. Replays can only be initiated from the replay booth. It's not like Kevin O'Connell can go challenge this. And the booth didn't blow down. They didn't say they were going to replay it. The replay clearly showed that Gabe Davis bobbled it, and they just kept playing. It should have been an incomplete pass.
So
Tyler Bass field goal, and they go to overtime.
Walt Anderson was asked about that after the game. Did you see his quote?
He admitted it.
He didn't.
Yeah, he's like we screwed up.
He didn't. No, he didn't say that. He said New York did not buzz, so it wasn't even the booth upstairs. This is New York's responsibility inside 2 minutes. He said, "Look, it should have been reviewed. We saw the replay a few plays later. I don't know if he's looking at the scoreboard or what."
I had the quote. Lindsey Jones was the pool reporter for the Athletic. Was the pool reporter and also the president of the PFWA. But she asked, he was like, "Why wasn't there a replay?" He goes, "It was a significant distance down the field. And even though it happened fast and Buffalo hurries to the line of scrimmage for the next play, if the replay official can't confirm it was a catch on that long of a completed pass, we should stop playing to ensure it was a catch." In other words, he's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it was not my fault. Then, so that she asked, that would be your booth review and then go to the league office in New York. Yes, because we were under 2 minutes. It has to be a booth review. It cannot be a coach's challenge. Did you get a chance to see it? We were able, several plays after, to look at all the angles. It would have been reversed to an incomplete pass because he did not maintain control of the ball after he hit the ground and the ball touched the ground. The ball touched the ground out of bounds. Like, Wilson, to your point,
what is happening here?
I mean, what are we? This is a $14 billion business, and everyone who's watching this game, you could be watching your phone, you could be watching from a distant point of the bar. You know what happened. And the NFL can't buzz Walt Anderson in time to say, "Hold on, bro, don't let the next play happen." What are we doing?
It's good that the Vikings won because it's just one of those things where, this is what happened to the Saints.
If the Vikings would have lost, every Vikings fan in Buffalo would have marched straight down to New York City and burned down NFL headquarters.
But Breech, here's the thing, and they would have had every right to do that, and justifiably so, to throw eggs at the building, but don't hurt anyone because then you get in trouble.
That's true.
What happened to the Saints? The Bensons were absolutely irate. Sean Payton was irate when they got screwed on that PI that wasn't, and what happened?
But okay, now hold on. The difference is that and granted, it was pass interference, and we all agree on that. But pass interference is a subjective call, an opinion call, and an incomplete pass
fair enough. You're right.
Black
You're right
and
about
white
that.
call.
Absolutely, but it was black and white PI as well. My point is that if you get screwed, guess what? You are screwed. We will see you at your next game. Please shut up about it. Right?
Yes, I guess.
Yeah. So there's no recourse. So, as Brinson said, just hit the button, man, even if you don't know. In college football, they stop this stuff all the time.
Yes.
They had 8-hour games, and it frustrates the crap out of me. But at least they get so many more calls right in college football than the NFL, and it's insane.
College football. So, the difference to me with college and NFL, when you're watching a college game, and I agree, college football games are way, way, way too long. But and look, some of that is the clock and the first down stopping and all that. But when there's a questionable call, you feel comfortable knowing that the officials are going to come running in, waving his arms, and they're going to stop the clock. They're going to look at the situation and figure it out. In the NFL, you have, and again, I'm not going to go on a big tangent about this because I've done it 50 times last year. You don't know whether the NFL is going to buzz in and be actually change that right now, or whether they're going to be I'm drinking a margarita right now, so I don't really know what's going on. Go ahead and keep playing. There's no consistency to it, and it's humiliating for a league that has less teams, has more money, and is
better officials
and not amateur. It's crazy that they can't be as good as college football.
And one thing I'm going to say is that since it's on the booth, the coach has no power when there's under 2 minutes left.
Right.
That should eliminate the rule that if the team runs the next play, that you can't, because I get it when it's on the coach's shoulders. That's can you get your challenge flag out fast enough before the team runs its next play? Are you confident enough in your challenge to throw it before the team runs its next play? That's just part of the mind games. But when the coach loses his power, the NFL should be able to buzz in and say, look, we have to review this. We don't care that you just ran this next play, or blow the play dead, or do whatever, but it's on the NFL to get that right.
Brandon Staley agrees with you.
Well, and there's some just I'm in the comments too right now with it, but it's also you could now it's a penalty for challenging a play under 2 minutes. But if you challenge a play under 2 minutes and they're actually it's a penalty, they're hold on, we have had time to review that. We are, or that's why I think that coaches sometimes miss the mark. And I'm not saying this particular one, but call a timeout. In this spot, you wouldn't want to throw the challenge flag because you would be penalized. But if it's over 2 minutes, throw the challenge flag, even if you don't think you're going to win. And it's going to be a timeout either way.
The irony of what you just said about calling a timeout is that the Vikings literally used their third timeout the play before the Gabe Davis play.
That's right. Yes.
And the funny thing is, if they called timeout again, they would have gotten penalized.
And Mike Zimmer somehow wasn't involved.
Yeah, it shouldn't be on the victim, and I use victim in quotation, to right the justice system. It should be the justice system figuring this out. What are we doing? That's like you get T-boned at the intersection, and it's your job to make sure that you bring in all the evidence to convict the person who actually T-boned you. Just get it right.
Right. It's
I'm in a wheelchair over here. Come on.
Kevin O'Connell should have gone to Kirk Cousins and say, put the chain on, take your shirt off, run on the field, and tell him to stop the game.
But again, do you remember? We talked about this late last season. The NFL, out of nowhere, changed the way they operate. And on these, they only do it on these island games. They never do it with these 1 o'clock games where there's a bunch of I don't understand how whoever is sitting in New York working in the officiating department, they can't handle more than 2 games at once. Or they're overwhelmed. They miss all this stuff. It's put one person on each game, and if there's a controversial situation, buzz the ref and say, hold on a second, we're double checking this.
I say it all the time. Just hire Gene Steratore, Mike Pereira, the guy who does ESPN and Sunday Night Football. Those guys get every single call right.
Terry McCauley.
And
was trending on Twitter for some reason.
All right. What's next, Breech?
What's your next topic on this game, Breech?
All right, so then we go to overtime. We just finished the Gabe Davis catch. The Bills get their field goal. The Vikings drive straight down the field. They're like, you know what? We're just going to run the ball because everybody's worn down. And you know what? I also throw in a pass to Justin Jefferson because I've been doing that the entire game, which Justin Jefferson had another crazy catch. I don't know how many crazy catches he had in this game, but out of his 10 catches, at least 5 of them I think could officially be labeled as crazy. This is the one, 3rd and 10. He catches a pass that takes him down to the 2-yard line, which was just another bananas play that he had. But unfortunately, the Vikings were able to punch it in. And they kick a field goal. Hello, Mike McCarthy. Maybe you need to call Kevin O'Connell. Take the field goal in overtime. Trust your defense.
Yikes.
And then obviously Josh Allen throwing another interception when your team's in field goal range. It's okay to play it safe. You're in a good spot. It's only 2nd down. You don't have to try and force something. But he did. And our guy, Patrick Peterson, iced the game.
Our colleague, Patrick Peterson, who we're told emphatically will not be joining us on the podcast tomorrow.
So, Breech, you mentioned the Dalvin Cook run. Right before that run, late in the 3rd quarter, Minnesota, as you said, they were down 17. What do you think their winning percentage was at that point? Their chance to win the game, I should say.
It was like historically, was it like historically low?
Give me a guess.
1.7%.
2%. You just got smoked on that one, Breech. 10%. Are you crazy?
Actually hit that. Sorry.
So also here's another sad fact if you're a Bills fan. That red zone interception that you talked about the in the game Breech, that was in the last 2 games. How many red zone interceptions has Josh Allen had?
A lot.
4.
My God.
4 in the last 2 games. It feels like, and look, this may be the injury. And a lot of times when guys get hurt, they don't say they're hurt and they play poorly and people get frustrated because they're not the superstars we want them to be. Whatever the excuse is, he looks like 2020 Josh Allen and before.
Well, and one thing real quick is that Carson Palmer was talking about that this week. He had a UCL injury in 2008. And he said, look, you can play with it, but you lose some mustard off your throw.
And you lose a ton of accuracy.
Well, but if you think you're going to force a ball in there and you're usually throwing it 80 miles an hour and now it's only going 70 miles an hour, that means the defender can make a play on it because it's not getting there as quickly as you. And his football's not traveling that fast. Just as an example.
Well, but you also start overcompensating. So your footwork changes, your mechanics change, everything changes because you know the ball's not traveling as fast off so you're not spinning as fast as you want, and so you're trying to you're stepping forward early. You're trying to anticipate before you should. Then you start not reading the defense as well. Like it's a trickle down effect here. The last 10 quarters for Josh Allen are it's virtually impossible not to look at the last, like you see the graphic on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6, hit the like button if you're watching. First 6 games, 6 turnovers. The last 3 games, 7 turnovers. Second half of the Packers game, that disastrous L against the Jets last week. And then this debacle, Josh Allen for 10 quarters? Yeah, 10 quarters has been, like, as you point out, Wilson, 2020 Josh Allen. And the Bills are not winning the Super Bowl if this is the offensive product that they are going to produce for the rest of the season.
So I said this on HQ a moment ago with our guy Joe Musso and BMAC.
It's a great appearance, by the way.
Thank you. I was repping the Pick 6 brand with this stupid hoodie.
I don't know how you pull off the hoodie blazer combo. I tried to do that. They made fun of me.
Yeah. I'm Denzel and you're Danny DeVito, to borrow your term.
Okay, I'll take the dunk, but that's rude.
I had to throw the Danny DeVito back in your face from an earlier.
That's you, bro.
That's from an early. You said it earlier about another one of our colleagues. I was throwing.
You could at least give me like Charlie Day.
Come on now, Charlie Day can wear a hoodie. But what I was going to say is, with Josh Allen, I can't remember after I made fun of you, but I'll tell you this fun fact, and I'll remember in a second. This isn't a fun fact if you're a Bills fan. It's a fun fact for everyone else. The Bills have not scored. And this is from James Palmer of NFL Network. So I didn't verify it, but I think his account was verified, so I'm assuming it's true.
The
Bills have not scored a touchdown in the second half since week 6 at Kansas City, Breech.
Whoa.
That's a problem.
It's a huge – it feels like that's something you say about the Steelers, not a team as high-powered as the Bills.
Especially because they've lost. They lost to the Jets.
The way this Josh Allen thing, and we do need to move on. I mean, this is the biggest game of the year so far, right?
So far, I think.
We were pretty guilty of spending a lot of time on like the first game we talk about, but this game feels like it was worth it. Allen, with the way the injury played out this week, it was crazy. Like I felt throughout the week that we were going to get some really bad long-term news, and they're like, actually, he's just going to play.
That reminds me of what I was going to say before I rudely called you Mr. DeVito. You're definitely more
Thank you.
Definitely more Rhea Perlman.
I was going to call you. You know what? Thank you. I appreciate that.
Move on, as Billy likes to say. Here's the thing. To your point about Josh Allen's elbow, when he played, I was shocked because he didn't practice for much at all during the week. He showed up at practice on Thursday or Friday, I think, and didn't do a whole bunch. And, then they rolled him out there, and he looked okay. The first drive, he almost threw an interception. He underthrew a pass on third down. And here's the thing. Like, if Josh Allen should have sat out a month and then come back 3 weeks from now and be 98%, I get it. But is it worth risking him, especially when he punched the ball out from Pat P and appeared to hurt his elbow further? What if we find out now he has to miss 6 weeks or 8 weeks or something crazy because he played when he shouldn't have played? Because, as Breech noted, Carson Palmer said this injury is, it saps some of your energy and whatever. And again, I'm just speculating. Hopefully he's 100% tomorrow, but it just feels like maybe caution would have been the best course here. But I say that knowing that if they had won that game in a fluke way at the end, none of us would have cared.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Okay, let's talk some Vikings I will set my timer. We're going to do 3.5 seconds of Vikings talk.
Vikings are good.
All right, moving on to the next game.
Is this their signature win? It is their signature win. Is this signature win enough to prove to you that they are
the second best team in the
Minnesota has
NFC? Now played in, according to our crack CBS Sports research department, they have played in they've won 7 straight games, all by 1 possession. It's time for the longest streak of its kind in NFL history. The other team is the 2020 Chiefs, who went to the Super Bowl, granted in 2020, which is a weird year. I think the difference, it was weird. We do talk about the Vikings every week, and we mention this, that we like the Vikings. The Vikings are good. They play in these 1-score games, but every 1-score game with the Vikings now feels a little bit more like under control or calmer, or you trust them a little bit more to find a way to finish it off. Whereas last year, you're like, I have no clue what the Vikings are going to do here, but it's going to be crazy. It's going to be like an explosive TNT detonation.
They're going to lose. That's what you thought last year.
Yeah.
So this team is going to the playoffs.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but like, this is when we talk about in the offseason, and Bill Barnwell's been ahead of this. I mean, like a lot of people know about this. It's 1-score games. 1-score games are generally luck based. When you go 6-8 in 1-score games, you play 14 games, and 14 of your 17 games are 1 score. Like, you are living on the edge. Your season could go. You could have the number 1 overall pick, or you could have the best record in football. That's just it's an oblong piece of pigskin inflated with a bladder full of air, and it bounces around funnily, funkily, if you want. I mean, the point is, like, if you're involved in 14 out of 17 games or 1-score games, you are it is a very, like, you're walking a tightrope. And I think that's the only concern with the Vikings this year too, is that 7-0 in 1-score games is so unsustainable.
Yeah, no, it's like stomps and guts that Football Outsiders did back in the day that we've talked about before. Breech, 8-1. This team is going to the playoffs, 99.9%. So I guess the question is, clearly Kevin O'Connell's an upgrade from Mike Zimmer, but what constitutes a successful season? Like 1 playoff win, an appearance, 2 playoff wins, because 8-1 is extremely impressive. But at the end of the day, as Brinson notes, the 1-score wins, it feels like at some point it might catch up with them. And you see the Kirby make some mistakes early in the game, and then he comes and makes some miraculous game-changing throws. Dalvin Cook had a huge game. The defense stepped up, all those things that you want to happen. But how confident are you in this team, and what constitutes a good season in your eyes?
Well, I think they need to win at least 1 playoff game. If they win this division and lose the wild card round, I don't think anyone in Minnesota considered successful.
I disagree with that, only in the sense that, like, if you're a Vikings fan and you're looking at the start and you're thinking, man, we got a great coach, we have a competent quarterback, he's getting a little bit older, we can start looking at the draft for another one. We have an elite running back in Dalvin Cook. We have probably the best receiver in football, Justin Jefferson. I mean,
you're sort of glossing over the tough part. I mean, you're not going to find a quarterback in the draft that's going to help you next year.
Okay, well, let me.
You just start looking for one to like come in behind Kirk Cousins, in my opinion.
So you're saying what would constitute a successful season? Are you saying
I think if you run away with the NFC North, it's a successful season.
If you lose,
okay, well, let me. I don't think you got to win a play. If you run away with the North and then lose in the wild card round, that's not
insanely disappointing.
And here's the crazy part: if the season ended today, the Vikings would open at home against the 49ers. Who are you betting on in that game?
Yeah, boy.
I mean, the 49ers.
Yeah.
And you would be happy as a Vikings fan if you lost to the 49ers 21-20.
There's a difference between being happy as a fan and saying, okay, if the Vikings finish with how many losses?
Let's say they lose 3 games and lose to the 49ers in the first round.
I was a coach of the year.
13-4. Let's say they go 13-4.
13-4 division title is a successful season.
It's not if you lose.
Yeah, I mean, like on paper, obviously, yes, it's a successful season.
Look,
but
obviously,
I don't think fans would be happy if they just make the playoffs and lose the first
because
game.
now the expectations have pivoted, have changed, and you're like, if we don't win the Super Bowl, everything sucks. But the reality is, coming into the year, when your win total is 8.5 or 9 or whatever it was, if you go 14-3.
But the Vikings don't know their win total is 8.5 or 9. That's us talking about it. Their ideal is to win, is to go to the playoffs and win playoff games. I think everyone in that organization and every person who's a fan of the Vikings would be extremely angry if they went 13-4 and lost to the 49ers.
Playoff games are just like a wild card game. You get a wild card game, it's Dallas or San Francisco. Like that game could just go either way. It's not fair to judge a season based on 60 minutes of a wild card game.
If the Bills lose in the wild card round, you think Sean McDermott will consider this year a successful season?
We did it. He was injured for part of the season. We're okay. That's a wild take. That's wilder than your Chase Claypool.
I say this all the time. It's like you. Oh my god, my voice is Breech level high. No, I mean it's like you can have a great season and just get a bad draw in the playoffs, and that's sometimes, of course, you'll be disappointed. No one's gonna be happy about it.
Did the Titans have a good season last year? They won 12 football games and
yes,
had home field advantage.
They were the number 1 seed in the AFC. And nobody thought that they would be there.
And then they went into the offseason with a bad taste in their mouth. I think that is where
the Titans fans seem happy in that stadium.
Well, that's how the playoffs.
They did not.
Man. That's how when you play playoffs in football, it is so random. It's the smallest sample size.
Using that logic, no team should be angry if they lose the first round.
No, I'm just saying that realistically, if you said here you'll go 14-3. You'll just get run into a hot 49ers team in the wild card round, but that's your season. I think Vikings fans would be like, well, I don't like the ending, but 14-3 sounds pretty effing good.
Yeah, that's a loser take. Not you being a loser, but like a team of losers who's willing to be happy with 14-3 and then not doing well in the postseason.
Okay, we're going to take
Brinson's defense real quick. If you told a Vikings fan in August that they would go 13-4, win the division, and Kevin Connell's first year to coach, they would all sign up for that.
Were you happy at the end of the Super Bowl if I told you in August that the Bengals would be in the Super Bowl?
I consider their season a successful season.
If you're like, hey, listen, Minnesota fans, you're going to go to the Super Bowl, you're going to lose 55-10. Like no one's going to be.
I don't know if they can take that heartbreak.
Right, no one's gonna be happy. It's not heartbreak. That's just like curb stomping.
Breech
be happy.
Breech crying outside of SoFi Stadium.
Members of my life.
That says to me that he wasn't happy with how things transpired.
Right, you can be happy and cry. You've never had tears of joy. What kind of life have you led?
Once I've had him once.
David B. Nichols in the chat. Like, good thing there. Brinson thinks last year's Packers season was a success. It was. They went 13 and.
Stop it. Let's go to break. I can't take this. I need to regroup.
Oh my god, you guys are. All right, we'll take a break and we come back. I guess there are other games in the NFL that we should talk about next.
What?
All right. Huge gap between.
We spent half the show on
a third of the show, Breech. Jeff Saturday. Look at us. Look at us, Jeff Saturday. He won his debut.
What do you mean, look at us? So I said last week, if he wins like 21-0, Josh McDaniels needs to get fired. And I picked the Colts to win this game.
I had the Colts in the revenge game parlay.
Breech.
I picked the Colts to cover.
All right, I'll give you that. Does that say more about the Raiders or more about the Colts?
I think it says more about the Raiders. I also think it says more about like you hire the interim guy who's like rah like hype guy, and he comes in
as you like to call it, the dead cat bounce.
The dead cat bounce, if you will. And how about the fact that Jim Irsay stepped in several weeks ago and said Matt Ryan's not playing for this team ever again, and Jeff Saturday's like, actually, he's going to play this week, Jim.
Well, that's the thing. So I saw the game, as it's starting because the Bills game was going into overtime, and I'm like, wait a second. Sam Ehlinger looks a lot like Matt Ryan in that he's older and taller and skinnier. And then I'm thinking Frank Reich's probably sitting on his couch drinking a beer, having the exact same conversation, saying this dude made me bench Matt Ryan for Sam Ehlinger. I get fired 2 weeks later, and now his buddy Jeff Saturday / Sunday comes in there and says this is what's going to happen. I don't know.
Somebody in the chat said any given Saturday. That's pretty good.
I don't know what the particulars are in terms of how Matt Ryan got back in the game. I don't know if Saturday.
No.
Jeff Saturday probably said, "I'm not taking the job unless Matt Ryan is starting."
I know he started. What I said was, I don't know if Jeff Saturday explained after the game why Matt Ryan was the quarterback. And my point is that if Frank Reich didn't have that pull or Chris Ballard, why does Jeff Saturday have the ability off that 20-16 high school coaching record to come in there and say, hey, this is what's going to happen? And
to Breech's point, little known fact. I don't know have you ever seen Weekend at Bernie's?
Yes. Neil,
Bernie is Jim Irsay is Bernie.
Bernie Lomax.
Yes, Jim Irsay is Bernie Lomax, and Jeff Saturday is one of the two guys who work for Bernie, and they're just parading Jim Irsay.
Andrew McCarthy and
propping him up.
Good call, yeah.
Andrew Silverman.
Have you ever seen Weekend at Bernie's 2?
No, I did not see that.
That's going to be the Raiders.
Yeah, that's a good call. I haven't seen it, and I can imagine it's probably not going to be great. So, Derek Carr came to the podium after the game for his press conference. It was literally crying, with basically saying how hard this team works in practice and how terrible they play on game days. He said it in a much nicer way, but the implication was there's no reason for us to be losing these football games, and he ain't wrong. But my God, they're finding new and exciting ways to lose. And before we sort of focus on the Raiders, I will say this: shout out to Parks Frazier. That dude, 30 years old, never been a play caller. You know what he did, Breech? He leaned on Jonathan Taylor, didn't do anything super crazy in terms of trick plays, and let Matt Ryan throw completions he could complete. And I guess it worked out.
I'm guessing that's Jeff Saturday probably sat down with Parks Frazier and said, look, buddy, you're calling the plays, but this isn't really complicated. We're going to give Jonathan Taylor the ball either every down or every other down. And when we need to let Matt Ryan throw, oh, yeah, Matt Ryan's starting because we're benching that guy who I don't even know his name because he's been so terrible the last few weeks. That's Jeff Saturday, not me not knowing his name. That's Ehlinger. And we're putting Matt Ryan in there and just call smart plays, and we have enough talent to win. And Jonathan Taylor looked like the Jonathan Taylor that everyone thought he was going to be. He looked like that in week 1 when he went over 150 yards. In this game, 147 yards and a touchdown. And that was it. If Jonathan Taylor's running like this, the Colts their offensive line looks better. Matt Ryan looks better. Every person looks better. Their defense looks better because they're not on the field as much. And so it's just like the whole rising tide lifts all boats. That's what Jonathan Taylor does.
So I'll ask you this, and this all you have to go on is 4 quarters. Is Jeff Saturday a good coach?
Yes.
You know what? I'm of that opinion, and I'll tell you why. Because every few weeks, sometimes every week, I'm belly aching about how these offensive defensive coordinators, see Josh McDaniels, get elevated from a job that they're really good at to a job that is completely different and they suck at. And Josh McDaniels in round 2 as a head coach has been atrocious, even worse than the Denver run back in 2010, in large part because sometimes guys who are good coordinators aren't good head coaches. Jeff Saturday didn't need to have a headset on Sunday, and he did, and it looked good on him. He has great hair. But I think at the end of the day, he's letting the defensive coordinator do his job. He's letting the OC do his job. He's cheerleading. He's giving pep talks. He's supposed to be a great leader, and apparently that has been the case through a week, and maybe he is a good coach. Unfortunately, he got the job in a crazy way, but they won the football game. So for a week, Jim Irsay has been vindicated.
Well, the thing is,
wait,
Jim Irsay, the guy who forced Sam Ehlinger in there
for the week. That's why I said for the week.
I guess he's been vindicated. Jeff Saturday.
No. This is like the classic hype man, like get amped up. Team gets like fade the crap out of the Colts, like moving forward in the short term.
Why won't they be hyped up for every game?
Because
granted, they play the Eagles next week.
Gonna be a sad conversation next week when Billy's got to defend why the Eagles lost to Jeff Saturday.
The guy who was coaching high school football
is coming.
It'd be great is if Doug Peterson hired Frank Reich as a consultant. He's not the Eagles. I don't know what I'm talking about. If Nick Sirianni is what I meant, hired Frank Reich, his old boss, because Sirianni came from the Colts, hired his old boss to be a consultant, like an offensive consultant. So he's still getting paid by Jim Irsay, but he's like, actually, I bet that actually could happen this week.
How bad do the Raiders suck? That Jeff Saturday 2 weeks ago sent out a tweet that said the Raiders are horrible. And that couldn't even be bulletin board material for a team to beat a coach who has previously coached high school and for the last few years has been a media bobblehead like us.
This is an elite tweet from NFL and CBS at NFL and CBS. Jeff Saturday becomes first coach since at least 1950 to tweet that a team looks horrible and then beat them within the next 2 weeks after never having coached at the college or pro level before.
That's legit and true and sad.
I think that there are a lot of Colts fans. I saw this in my mentions. They're like, because I tweeted out the Joe Thomas take on Good Morning Football, and they're like everyone's tagging Old Takes Exposed. They're ripping Cower for his take on NFL and CBS, the NFL Today, on CBS on Sunday morning. But like, you can't justify hiring a guy with no coaching experience based on one win against a really freaking terrible Raiders team. Ben Solak, who has been has he been on the pod? He's been, friend of the pod. He's been on the pod. He said, this is a good tweet. If the Colts win, the story will be about Jeff Saturday. What it should be about, the 3-3-1 Colts benching Matt Ryan, who is playing perfectly acceptable and at times extremely tough and impressive football for Sam Ellinger because ownership was impatient.
I love Ben, but I think that's stretching the truth on how Matt Ryan was playing. Let's be real.
Well, I mean, the offensive line was playing like awful.
I'm just saying. I mean, Matt
Ryan was fine. He wasn't good. He wasn't great. He was fine.
Yeah,
they're 3-3-1 and like in the hunt, and basically Jim Irsay was so mad about Carson Wentz that he took it out on Matt Ryan because Frank Reich also was involved in that, and then fired Frank Reich, and then hired Jeff Saturday. And good, you won. Great, congratulations.
Okay, yeah, I don't agree with the Matt Ryan part of that, but I get it. The overall point's fine. I mean, I get it. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I thought, as I was telling Breech earlier, I think Jeff Saturday, maybe he's cut out to be a coach. It's just a matter of him skipping everyone in the line to get there for the interim job.
Right.
I think the bigger story isn't about Matt Ryan. The bigger story is about the numbnuts on the other side of the field. Like, that's a huge concern. Like, Breech, which owner leads the league in having after game meetings with the coach?
Oh, easily Mark Davis. It is. I think
Davis is like 1.5 games ahead of anyone. Like the next closest.
Literally every game, there's like a note in Josh McDaniel's locker that says, "Please see the owner after your eventual loss because we know you were going
Chipotle.
to lose."
I just saw this from Melanie Collins, our colleague, said this on the air. Apparently, Jeff Saturday had to give up his fantasy football team in order to be a head coach.
Yeah,
so he turned it over to Eric Decker, who's going to manage his team.
He turned it over to Eric Decker.
Someone on the
tweet. Saturday's still pulling the strings. That's why Taylor got all those runs.
Someone
bench Russ.
Do you know what the craziest play in this game was? And my mouth dropped watching it. Do you guys know
last play or the next to last play?
No, it was Matt Ryan. With a 30.
It was the longest biggest rushing game of his career.
39-yard run. Matt Ryan, who is near 40 years old and is probably the slowest man on the field by far, had a 39-yard run in this game in a key situation because it came with under 7 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter on a drive where the Colts scored the eventual game-winning touchdown.
So I feel like he should have pointed into the booth wherever Irsay was sitting and did the old X move from wrestling back in the day.
So you know like if you go out and it's called shooting your age in golf, and you go and you're 85, you go and shoot an 83, like you beat your age, right? Like it's a huge accomplishment. But Matt Ryan ran for 39 yards, he's 37. I feel like that's kind of like shooting your age, but for football. What are the chances that we are convening sometime in the next 72 hours to discuss Josh McDaniels being fired?
Zero. I don't think it's going to happen. So. I mean, you can't just keep firing coaches. I want to say quickly before we move on, the fourth down play, 4th and 6, that ended up falling harmlessly into the end zone, 15 yards from the end zones where the snap was taken. You could have just thrown for a first down. Instead, you throw to Devontae Adams, yes, but you throw against Steph Gilmore, no, and Steph Gilmore's been playing pretty well, so incompletion there. But the biggest issue for me was the play before, 3rd and 8 from the play before was 3rd and 6 from the 15. Foster Moreau just drops the ball in the end zone, and that would have been the difference maker. That would have put him up 26-25 before the extra point. So you can blame the play calling at the end, but the Foster Moreau can't drop that pass in the end zone. I mean, that's unacceptable, but par for the course.
Let's move on and discuss the Miami Dolphins. Tune on is in the street and rolling right now. The Dolphins absolutely torched the Browns. It didn't come in the way that you would think, in the sense that it wasn't like Tyreek Hill for 6 billion yards and 5 touchdowns, but they won 39-17. Jeff Wilson, 17 carries, 119 yards, 7 yards per carry and a touchdown. By the way, he was they added him a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago. To a great game, 25-32, 3 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, decent game. Tyreek Hill, not much, but a touchdown. I mean, the Dolphins were just good. I bet the Dolphins to win the AFC East, and I'm happy about that.
I'm sure Dolphins fans aren't happy with you because you've been crushing Tua for years.
Oh, did you see that? Like, there was first of all, I haven't been crushing Tua. I was not on the list of the dude who was like holding up the sign at the game.
The receipts, yeah.
The receipts. But I am on the main list. I'm pretty early up there. I'm actually between it's like a depressing combo that I'm between. I'll go look it up. But
So, Breech, I'll ask you this because it's something that's always in the back of my mind. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but is Jeff Wilson that much worse than Christian McCaffrey?
That's ridiculous.
Jeff Wilson's good. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And actually, the fact that the Dolphins picked him up, I'm sure Mike McDaniel was just sitting at home when this trade was made going, oh my God, is Kyle really going to give me this dude? Because now you have Mostert, who you had in San Francisco, Wilson, and you can basically just alternate possessions or just keep going with the hot hand. And both these guys had the hot hand today. So, the Dolphins didn't need any more weapons, and now they had another weapon. I mean, Jeff Wilson having, 140 total yards, something around there, 143 total yards. That is bonkers when you consider who else is on this team, that they just brought someone in who's producing like that.
Is Tua in the MVP conversation?
Yes.
He 100% has to be.
Well, yeah. I mean, especially when you factor in Mahomes is probably this is a weird year right now because Allen is falling out, right?
Yeah. He's got 4 red zone interceptions last 2 games.
Not involved because of the record. Mahomes is kind of the default favorite. I feel like Tyreek could win the MVP.
No, he's not winning it.
Like a week 16, 300-yard explosion by Tyreek could tilt it.
You think that would help?
Mark Chase did it against the Chiefs last year. By the way, I love that Tua receipts spelled Sean Payton wrong.
Did Jamar Chase win the MVP last year?
Well, offensive rookie, this fella named McCorkle Jones was the favorite until you got dunked on by the Bengals.
Oh,
you're talking about MVP. Also worth noting, Tyler Sherfield, he's a really good player.
But sure, go ahead.
Trent, sorry, yeah. I think that Tua's actually elevating his play as well. I mean, I talk about Tyreek being great for Tua, and I think it goes both ways. So Tyreek only had 5 for 44. Trent had 4 for 63 and a touchdown, and a fantastic touchdown in the back of the end zone. So it's just a matter, sort of like you mentioned, Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert. I feel like Sherfield is also benefiting from this offense where Tyreek and Jalen get most of the. Yeah,
Jalen hurt. So Jimmy Garoppolo is good in Kyle Shanahan's offense because he is a smart distributor of the football who plays a point guard style role. Tua is a better version of that. And that's why this is working.
And he's left-handed.
And he's from Hawaii.
Does it bother you that we are paid for Twitter verification?
Why would that bother me?
I mean, you've been very adamant about not paying for Twitter.
Yeah, but I didn't pay for that. People are free to do what they want.
I thought you were running to it on.
It's Wilson's. That's his burner account, man.
I'm running
out here on the podcast.
I'm running Breech and on.
Who wins the AFC East?
I think the Dolphins do. I think we're sitting at, by the way, we haven't even talked about this, but it's week 10 and the Bills are the number 3 team in the AFC.
The Bills are 6th.
AFC East, excuse me.
It is week 10 and all three.
All four.
Yeah, all four.
They have the number 2 seed, the number 5 seed, the number 6 seed, the number 7 seed, the AFC East, ladies and gentlemen. My.
That is interesting.
All right, so 2 questions. Just pick now. We won't hold anybody's feet to the fire later. 1, who wins the division?
Miami.
And 2, how many teams from that division make the playoffs?
4.
2.
I'll say Miami and 2.
Pat's about to get red hot.
I don't think that's crazy.
You know
So
what?
All 4 in?
It's been that crazy, that type of year, crazy wise.
Okay.
I'll say the Dolphins. Do I want to say the Dolphins?
Yeah, you do.
All right, I'll say the Dolphins and 2 get in.
2 total? Dang.
I think
the Bengals are going to get in, and that's not just me being homers. That means somebody's coming out.
Steelers are getting in at the Bengals.
I think we're a Chargers Sunday Night Football win away from all 4 NFC East and all 4 AFC East teams being in the playoffs through 10 weeks of the season, which is
Brinson. I don't want to break it to you, but 4 teams from 2 divisions can't be in.
Well, but they're in different conferences.
Oh, I thought you said the Chargers win. If the Chargers had won.
If the Chargers beat the 49ers, they'd be out. The Washington football team would be in.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So see, in football, they have the NFC and the AFC, and they're 2 different conferences.
But
All right,
clarify that. I was trying to help you with confused listeners.
Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. What are we doing next?
Oh my god!
All right, so we're going to do a little bit of Germany talk.
I love Germany.
What's your favorite town?
The Bucs jumped all over your boy Geno Smith. Is he back? Is he back to Geno?
He was Geno for the first half, and the second half he refound his form. I think Geno in Germany is the kryptonite in his game.
Bucs are about to win this division by like 6 games.
Fool's goal. I mean, this feels like a fool's goal situation to me.
You're gonna be like the @drill Twitter account. You're like, as Tom Brady's winning his 8th Super Bowl, like I'm not owned as I shrink into a tiny husk of a cob.
But this was Brinson's theory 2 weeks ago that like if the Buccaneers get in, you're at least afraid of them. And you just look at, say, the playoff standings right now. The Buccaneers would host the Giants in the wild card round. Who are you picking?
The Bucs. The Bucs are
You're taking Tom Brady.
Like, I'm picking the Giants.
But this would be 4-5, and then they would who would they play the winner of?
I mean, you don't know.
Wait, I'm saying like
you don't need to go any further than that.
Let's say they're the 4 seed and they win. They would probably play the 3 seed, which would be Seattle, who they just beat.
Yeah, in Germany. Breech, if you're the Buccaneers and you get to the playoffs and you lose in the first round, you've had a successful season because you won the division. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, granted, you have Tom Brady, you expect it to be better, but with what this team's gone through and the offensive line is battered, you lost Gronk, I would say yes, that would constitute a successful season.
By the way, Wilson, you really have completely botched this whole NFC South situation.
Why is that?
Before the season, you were like, the Bucs are going to stink.
The Bucs are 500 halfay through the year. What are you talking about?
You should be hyping yourself up for your call.
This is not a good time to bring that up, Brinson.
I'm saying that Wilson was like, the Bucs are going to stink. And
but
still find a way to win the division. Like it's happening exactly the way he said.
No. I picked Jameis Winston and the Saints to win the division. I'll keep that real. I did think the Bucs were going to sink. And I'm still not sold on the Buccaneers. I think going to Germany and beating the Seahawks, who had to travel an extra 8 hours, Breech. I'm not sure. I use a flat Earth situation, not the round Earth, in terms of getting to Germany.
Well, look, the mileage was about the same, but the big difference is the time zones. This game started at 6:30 a.m. on the players.
The big difference is the Seahawks hadn't played a good defense since week 2, and they played one on Sunday morning.
I mean, are the Buccaneers that good of a defense?
Yes. Their defense is not good. The one of the issues is that Geno was a little conservative in the first half, and he looked a little off. And The Seahawks defense was finally exposed. Their front seven stinks for the most part, especially the front four. Just don't have enough bodies.
Seahawks are cratering. Is what you're saying.
Nuosu is great, but they don't have anyone that's. I mean, Bruce Irvin is back on the roster, and I saw him last week. I was like, oh my god, is that the Bruce Irvin? So
I saw them tweet out a video of him. I was like, I thought he retired like a year and a half ago.
Bruce Irvin, who became the first player in NFL history to play a game in 5 different countries.
Great fact.
Wow, that's fancy.
First and only.
But yeah, so I think the Seahawks. So will the Seahawks win the division? Let's start there. 6-4 versus I think the
49ers are coming hot.
49ers are 5-4, and they're just a half game behind Seattle. And the other question is, are the Bucs back? And by back, I don't mean are they going to win the division? Yeah, no crap. They're going to win the division. Are they going to win a playoff game?
Yes.
The Bucs are minus 430 to win the division. We do not. Oh,
the Bucs have the easiest remaining straight to schedule of any team in the NFC.
What do you think the odds are for the 49ers or the Seahawks to win the NFC West? I have it in front of me.
49ers is minus something. Seahawks is plus something.
That is
plus 200 and minus 120.
Wait. The 49ers are minus 220.
Oh my God.
And the Seahawks are plus 190.
You were close, Breech.
The Rams are 35-1. The Cards are 40-1.
Rams are done.
The Rams are toast. We'll skip past them shortly.
Cardinals are done.
I think the 49ers are about to rip off some wins here. This is sort of what they do if they have enough healthy pieces on offense and defense.
Yep, they got the healthy pieces. I'm not sold on the Buccaneers. I'm nervous about the Seahawks.
And I love the Seahawks, but I just think
they got to get right defensively. I mean, Geno's not even the problem, but they didn't win in Germany, Breech. 0-1 in Germany. All right, what's next?
Next up, the NFC playoff picture got a little muddled because your boy, Mike McCarthy, he went down to this big overcoat, did a walkthrough. He's smiling. Did you see the video of him walking on the field at Lambeau Field?
And that camel hair
overcoat. Yeah. He's just grinning ear to ear. And the Cowboys jumped out to a huge lead over the Packers. And then they Mike McCarthy themselves.
So they sort of reversed Mike McCarthy themselves. And Breech, you can go through the particulars, but I just want to put this Brinson conspiracy theory in your head. Do you think as he decided to go for it in overtime on 4th and 4 that he was going to do the opposite of what got him fired in Green Bay by Aaron Rodgers and stick
it felt the way the whole game
in Aaron Rodgers' face? Or do you think he legitimately, based on his time away that 1 year after consulting with PFF and other analytics organizations, that was the right call?
I think he thought it was the right call, and he's like, I'm going to go prove it. I'm not conservative anymore. I'm going to prove to those Packers fans that I've got big onions and I can make these big calls in big spots when I need to. And no, this was absolutely, you're Mike McCarthy. The reason you got let go is because whatever, you didn't mesh with Aaron Rodgers anymore, but because you made so many just asinine decisions, and he's been such a good coach this year. And then boom, you have something like this come out. It is overtime, man. Take the points because your defense, you have the Cowboys defense, one of the best in the NFL. Yes, they struggled a little bit in the second half, but all you have to do is stop the Packers on one possession and the game's over. Hold them to a field goal. You get the ball back in sudden death. But so if anyone didn't watch the game, it was 4th and 3 in overtime from the Packers 35. So they could have tried a 50-yard field goal or go for it.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
We have a Paramount Plus gift card to give away.
Ooh.
I couldn't wait till Breech finished his thought about what was going on in the game.
The squirrel ran across mine.
Oh my gosh. Focus.
So Breech, continue. If you hit the like button, you are eligible to win the Paramount Plus gift card as Breech continues to talk. But we have to get a certain number of likes. Go.
Yes. No, I finished my thought. I was just setting up the situation that was 4th and 3 at the Packers 35 in overtime. So you go for it or you attempt the 53-yard field goal. But if you make the field goal, you're up 31-28. And you know, if you stop the Packers, if they fumble, if there's interception, if you stop just anything, the game's over. And you put that, your defense has been so good this year. Let them win the game for you. Now, granted, a 53-yard field goal in Green Bay is no gimme. But it was just...
Especially if you're Mason Crosby.
Well, yes, he did miss one, but this is not. Mason Crosby.
So let me ask you this. Why, after the play failed, predictably, did Mike McCarthy rip off his headset and throw it into the turf like he was angry about something? What could he possibly be angry about?
Maybe who Dak threw the ball to? Maybe you thought Pollard shouldn't have gotten it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Hit. Have much of a choice.
Well, maybe he's mad at his offensive line. Maybe he was mad that he second guessed himself right after the play and said, "Crap, I should have kicked the field goal."
Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Do you want to hear an extremely sad fact? Had the Cowboys found a way to win this game, and if you were a Packers fan, so Amari Rodgers muffed a punt, which is not uncommon. He made that a career at this point, which is extremely frustrating. He has 7 career fumbles. He also has 8 career catches. Really? That is impossible.
That is impossible.
Except that it's not.
By the way, Tony Pollard is just way better than Zeke.
Well, Zeke didn't even play. Malik Davis came in and actually did really well as backup to Tony Pollard. But yeah, absolutely.
The Cowboys running back coach talked about that last week, and he basically said that if Pollard doesn't have the build that Zeke does, and when he plays the whole game, he gets really beat up.
Yeah,
and then Pollard went bananas after he had like 30 snaps.
True, but that's what their excuse is. That's why they say Pollard doesn't.
No, but Barber will tweet this out, and then like our colleague and friend of the pod, Jared Dubin, pointed out like it's so obvious that Pollard was going to have this good game, but that wasn't like explosive and super efficient. And then Jerry's gonna be like, "Well, you know what? We got to go with our boy Zeke Elliott. Like we go as Zeke goes. Like, do you?"
And this is just going to sell Jerry on that point more. Oh, we lost, and I don't care what Tony did. We're bringing Zeke back.
Yeah. We're talking about Zeke Elliott, not Ezekiel Elliott, not my friend Zeke. Just for those concerns.
Nobody thought we were talking about your friend Zeke.
I know. Are the Packers?
Are they back?
Are they kind of back?
No, close. They're bad. They're not
bad. Keep the CK away at AD. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, they're not. They're still a terrible football team, and they played.
And Christian Watson looked awesome.
4 catches, 3 touchdowns. Finally, there was one play in the fourth quarter. Early in the fourth quarter, he lost the ball, and the lights or quit running. I mean, dude, just running the ball hits you in the hands. Those must be the sorts of things that just drive Aaron Rodgers crazy. And Greg Olson, who's awesome, pointed this out. He says, when you're running a deep route, you don't look back at the quarterback. You look up because that's where the ball is going to be. And he slowed up. Christian Watson did, and he's a rookie, and I actually love him. I love him coming out of North Dakota State, and when he played with Trey Lance and all that, but he's had a tough year. But he the first touchdown catch he made in that game was also a bomb. And my first thought was if he had dropped that pass, he would have been done for the year mentally, because he dropped the very first throw of the game that came to him, 75-yarder in week 1. That sort of haunted him. He had 2 drops prior to that tonight in the 4:00 game on Sunday against the Cowboys. So I was glad to see him sort of put it together. Still some things to work on, but I'm sure Aaron Rodgers has some frustrations, but has to be happy. And also, I'm sure you guys saw Aaron Rodgers come out the field yelling and screaming at Matt LaFleur like he was Cliff Kingsbury and Aaron was Kyler Murray.
Robert Thomas correctly points out, I did once give out my buddy Zeke's phone number on the podcast.
That sounds about right.
Zeke did not appreciate.
Move.
I saw Zeke today, actually. He's my godson Teddy and Zeke were in town. That was very exciting. Moving on. Yeah. Playoff picture.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you, quick playoff picture peek. In the NFC, Philly is 1, Minnie is 2. Obviously, Philly has a tiebreaker over Minnie, but the Vikings are 8-1. Philly's 8-0. They play on Monday night. Seattle 3 at 6-4. Tampa 4th seed at 5-5. The Giants are the 5th seed, at 7-2. Dallas 6-3 is the 6th seed, and San Fran 5-4, the 7th seed. If you had to do a pick your wild card teams right now. Again, we're not going to hold your feet to the fire, but you got to pick 3 wild card teams in the NFC. Who are you going with, Breech?
The teams that are in: Giants, Cowboys, 49ers.
Yeah, I was going to say. I mean,
think there's too big of a gap.
Right.
I mean, the Commanders or Packers have 4 wins, and I think they'd have to catch the Cowboys or Giants because I don't think the 49ers are going to get much worse.
I would. The Niners are probably going to make the playoffs.
They're 100% going to make the play. Who behind them is going to push them? That's the question.
Right.
I mean, that's what Breech is saying.
For the Packers, real quick, for the Packers, they get to 10-7. They have to go 6-1. And so when you look at it in terms
when you
of
say
that,
it like that, it's a little different.
Right. And so that's what basically these teams are going to have to do to catch the Giants, Cowboys, or 49ers. 49ers have I think those are the three teams.
All right, my wild card teams are the Dallas Cowboys, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Green Bay Packers.
So the
49ers winning the division.
I mean, I'm not going to be like old takes exposed for this.
So the Giants fall out?
Oh, you will be.
The Giants have a 95% chance of making the playoffs.
Or do you think
according to what, wins over Wilson? That
Stephen O, but okay.
Oh,
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Brinson, if the Giants go,
I was waiting for that.
I'm sort of being hot takey. It's fine.
That is super hot take. There's no team 8, 9, or 10. I can't even do
that. The Giants and the Vikings are like, again, like I believe in the Vikings. I think the Giants are a good team, but when you're involved in one-score games, man, stuff can go sideways pretty quickly.
And Wilson, you said there's no way the Giants can miss it. The Giants do have the toughest remaining straight of schedule of any team in the NFL.
Well, I'll put your words back on you, Breech. The Washington Commandos, the Green Bay Packers, the Atlanta Falcons, any of those teams going 6-1?
No.
So I will stick with Brian Daboll, who his head almost literally blew off the top.
The Carolina Panthers.
Yelling and screaming. Yeah.
There's a path.
Everyone's still eligible.
I can't wait till this Thanksgiving pod where we're talking ourselves in the Panthers and the Bears making the playoffs.
There's a path.
No, there isn't. All right. What's next?
All right. Moving right along. Crap, I went to the wrong slide channel. What's next? What are we talking about? I got too many chats.
Do we pick wild card teams? We already talked about it.
We just did that, yeah. We are going to talk about the Lions and the Bears.
Lions, what about the Tigers? Lions and Tigers and Bears?
Oh, my.
No.
Dude, I mean, this game doesn't matter at all.
It
matters. It matters.
Yeah.
It matters, of course.
For jobs, but not for playoffs. Absolutely.
Right. I mean, both teams are 3 and the Lions are 3-6 now. The Bears are 3-7.
Somehow ahead of the Bears in the division, which is awesome.
But like the thing about the Bears is, I mean, if you're a Bears fan, are you not kind of feeling good about what's going on?
You're absolutely stoked about what's going on. No, 100%. Yeah. Just you have a quarterback. You have the best quarterback in that draft class. He threw a terrible pick six to Jeff Okuda's former teammate, and then came back and ripped off a 60-something or 70-something yard run.
2 straight weeks of 70-yard touchdown runs by a quarterback.
So, I mean, he can make mistakes, but he can make up for mistakes. There are only 2 quarterbacks that can do that, Justin Fields and clearly Matt Ryan, who did it on Sunday as well. But, I mean, I'm not even joking when I say that Justin Fields might be the best running quarterback in the NFL.
He's the first player in NFL history with 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 passing touchdowns, and 100+ rush yards in the game.
Breech, Lamar Jackson or Justin Fields solely as a break-the-pocket running quarterback?
Stop it.
Stop
it. What are you talking
about? Let him finish. Jesus.
Now. But Justin Fields is good enough that he's getting there. I mean, the fact that we're even having this conversation when 4 weeks ago, everyone was ready to bench Justin Fields and call him a bust. And, the offensive coordinator finally sat down and said, maybe we need to completely revamp our offense and design it around our quarterback. Maybe that will help us be successable. And that's what they did. And it's working like a charm, except that
they're losing.
Bears don't have a defense to help him. And fun fact, the Bears are the first team in NFL history to lose 3 straight games where they scored at least 29 points in each game.
Wow. Justin Fields also the first quarterback in NFL history with 140+ rushing yards in back-to-back games. Like, what? This is what drives me nuts about the Matt Nagy era. You really didn't. You had a chance with this first-round quarterback just design a design run offense and then let him do his thing when he's scrambling and get loose. He's a monster when he gets loose.
Well, that sort of echoes what I've been saying about Jeff Saturday. Maybe Jeff Saturday's a good coach because he's not an OC who graduated to head coach and thinks he knows more than everyone else. He's just sort of a cheerleader who's good at motivating people. Matt Nagy was not that, and it's not clear that he was good at dialing up plays because he's now back in Kansas City, wearing the
How many players in the NFL have more rushing yards through Sunday Night Football, Week 10, than Justin Fields?
4.
Any player, not quarterback, any player.
4.
Close.
Breech, you with us?
What's the question?
Yep, exactly. What's the answer?
Yeah. You just signed away your life. 5 is the answer.
Boom.
Saquon leads the league in rushing.
Yeah, he's good.
Saquon, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, Dameon Pierce, Justin Fields. That is wild, man.
And by the way, the reason I'm sort of leaning towards Justin, I'm a huge fanboy all of a sudden over Lamar as a running quarterback. If you watch the last play of the game, which was a 4th and 8, with like less than a minute to go after the Lions had gone ahead, and Justin finally got sacked, but he literally shed 3 tackles from guys who weighed north of 300 pounds.
He's a lot thicker than Lamar.
And he runs a 4.4 or whatever he runs. You're not catching him in the open field. Lamar's the same, but Lamar's going to go down if you hit him 3 or 4 times. And it took the 4th defender. It wasn't Anzalone, it was someone else who almost had to body slam Justin into the back of the end zone to get him down. And that's one of those things where, like, you got to tackle him, but you're going to slam him down. It's going to be a penalty for roughing the passer. That's why I'm leaning towards Justin. But again, obviously Lamar's the man.
Good point by POS Moo, who, I mean, obviously a terrible person because he hadn't seen Weekend at Bernie's, but they're playing a lot of man against Justin Fields, which you just don't play man coverage against a running quarterback.
Well,
if you play zone, you're facing the quarterback and he won't run, and you force him to throw into your zone coverage and he'll make mistakes and he can't run.
Yeah, they won. The Lions did.
Sure. Right. Moving on. The Chiefs stomped the Jaguars. Talk about the quarterbacks from last year's draft. I mean, sure, Mac Jones is like the 15th best quarterback in that class, but Trevor Lawrence is at least the 2nd best quarterback in that class. Chiefs still flexed on him. Patrick Mahomes was great. Kadarius Toney had a big day. Travis Kelce, very nice day as well. The Jags were headhunting in this game.
Andrew Cisco hit was not a flag. I don't think it should have been a flag. And in fact, if you see the replay on Juju Smith-Schuster, who got concussed and had to leave, and hopefully he's okay, and Andre actually tries to move his head out of the way when he hits him on that play in the middle of the field. I don't know if they were headhunting in other plays, but that one sticks out as one that I thought was he tried his best to get out of the way. Obviously, you don't want people to get out.
By the way, congratulations to whoever took the over on me going to get icy, refilling my drink, because I'm going to do a second one.
So
Chiefs, Jaguars, discuss amongst yourselves.
So Breech, did you see the Kadarius Toney touchdown?
No.
All right, I'm going to put it in Slack. And Billy, if you want to put this on the screen, you can, because I have a question that's probably the best question I've ever asked. So Kadarius Toney scored in the first half on a little swing pass, the first quarter of the game, late in the first quarter. And if you watch it, he catches the ball and he gets 2 feet down around the 7 or 8 yard line. And then he hops in because he's sort of straddling the sideline. So what happens if he catches the ball and he just straddles the sideline with his right foot and he hops in for 7 yards and never gets his left foot down and goes out of the end zone? That's incomplete.
Yeah, I think I'm watching it right now. Yeah. Obviously,
I was watching it live going, oh, my God, did he get both feet down early in the rep? And you can see it here. So, look, he just hops. He's like, okay. And he keeps going. And you're like, oh, my God, it's an incomplete pass. But he got 2 feet down when he caught the ball. But that was my first thought.
Like, why would you? I mean, I granted he wanted to keep from going out of bounds.
Right.
But as soon as you hit the end zone, put your feet down.
I was dying. I was hoping that part of me wanted it to be like incomplete just for the conversation. But it is also funny that this is Kadarius Toney's first touchdown in the NFL, by the way. He played for the Giants the entirety of last year, was injured for most of it. And he looked electric. He made some plays that if you sort of squinted, it looked like Tyreek in terms of going up for balls and catching them over people much taller than him. But he's clearly going to be an important part of this offense, especially if Juju has to miss some time with a concussion.
And how much do you think Kadarius Toney loves playing in the Chiefs offense versus the Giants?
Have you ever heard anyone say they don't love playing in the Chiefs offense? Like
No.
Le'Veon Bell wanted to get out of Pittsburgh, and sometimes you hear that about other teams around the league. No one ever says that about Patrick Mahomes or Andy
It's like you were driving a covered wagon and you get a Ferrari. That's the change you make.
That's exactly what it's like.
You know, at least Jacksonville went out and threw the kitchen sink. They were like, onside kick to start the game, and they recovered it. And it's like, oh, maybe Jacksonville's going to do some crazy stuff and stay in this game, maybe. At least keep it close. And then you have Doug Peterson going out there and punting twice in Kansas City territory. Like, dude, you're not going to beat the Chiefs punting in Kansas City territory. And my favorite one was when I think he punted from Kansas City's 44, It's a touchback. Kansas City takes over at the 20-yard line, scores a touchdown 5 plays later. Like,
so Breech, not to go back to the previous play.
He's 44.
The commenters say that 2 feet, whether it's the same foot, equals inbounds. So you can, if you hop twice on the right.
That's not true.
No, because we've seen catches on the sideline where a guy touches it with 1 foot, touches it. Like,
no, you have to get both feet down.
That's what I thought, but
maybe 3 feet.
You can't hopscotch your way to catch with 2 right feet. It's there's a reason it's called both feet down.
All right, I'm just telling you what people said here. I thought this exact same thing.
You're telling me you catch a ball and like do like a one-legged hop with your right foot.
That's That's exactly what Kadarius Toney did on his first touchdown. That's what.
You cannot hop. It's got to be both feet.
There you go. Take that, commenters. Nice try. Almost got me. So, Breech, I think the highlight of the day for Riley Patterson was the onside kick because he missed 2 field goals. Not that they cost him the game, but those are things that can't happen when you're trying to be a good football team.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Riley Patterson struggled. And the other part was that it came after Jacksonville scored a touchdown to cut it to 20-7. This is with under 2 minutes left. 35 seconds. This is with like 10 seconds left in the first half. Jacksonville kicks off. Kansas City fumbles the kickoff. Jacksonville picks it up, and they're about to get 10 points in 11 seconds. But then Riley misses a 41-yard field goal, and that just, you can't miss 2 field goals and be punting from the 44-yard line.
I feel like Jacksonville's better than 3-7, but they're also terrible.
Well, do you want to defend T-Law?
Right.
No, I'm not worried about T-Law. He's fine.
You say that every week. When do you become worried about T-Law?
I'm giving a free pass for last year.
Okay, I'm asking, when do you become worried?
I mean, look, Justin Fields, people wanted him benched 4 weeks ago. And now it's like, well, look at this amazing, incredible quarterback.
One thing, Jacksonville is actually 14th in DVOA. So they're above replacement level. And again, I'll ask you, when will you become concerned about Trevor Lawrence? You keep deflecting.
I'm not concerned about Trevor Lawrence.
So if he throws 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions every game for the rest of the way out, you'll be fine with that?
The rest, like, what's the rest of the way out this year?
Yeah, the next 10 games.
Look, I am not going to take. Again, I mean, we're a buck 17 into this, so we don't need to rehash this. But Trevor Lawrence's 2021 season should not be held against him.
Okay.
You dog Urban Meyer. We all dog Urban Meyer. We agree he's the worst coaching hire of all time. Right?
Okay, go on.
Why do you hate Trevor Lawrence? What did he do to you?
Okay. What's the next game?
Wow.
When you have to.
You know what it is? You're deflecting from McCorkle. You want Trevor Lawrence to stink, so the McCorkle stench won't be all over you.
The McCorkle Jones, who's the quarterback of the 5-4 Patriots, who are currently the 7th seed in the AFC.
That's a hell of a theory, isn't it?
Happy?
That's a hell of a theory.
Wilson hates Trevor Lawrence because he wants McCorkle to be the best.
Yes.
Maybe he hates him because of his hair. That'd make more sense.
Thank you, Breech.
Common
sense prevails yet again. What's next? Quit making up stupid theories. Let's get on the next game.
If I'm not in like the card, like the trading card or like football cards are like big right now. Like,
okay.
It's a thing. I would be buying Trevor Lawrence rookie cards.
Yeah, but you also thought NFTs were a thing.
You thought Mac Jones would be the best quarterback in this draft class.
Guess what? The difference is I didn't spend $10,000 on NFTs.
Moving along to the AFC. We're not talking about the NFC. God, the NFTs. Look. The same guy who I blame for this podcast, Eric K, is to blame for the NFTs.
Okay.
Try to be into them.
It's always someone else's fault. Go ahead. What's next?
I haven't logged in for a while. AFC playoff picture. We talked about the NFC. Kansas City won at 7-2. By the way, the Bills are the 6th seed all of a sudden.
Yeah, number 3 in the division.
Miami, the 2nd seed at 7-3. Tennessee, 3 at 6-3. Baltimore, 4 at 6-3. And then the wild cards, Jets, Buffalo, 6-3, and the Patriots, 5-4. So I ask you guys, if you were picking your AFC wildcard teams right now, and you can choose the Jets, the Bills, the Pats, the lowly Bengals. You can't pick the Steelers, but you pick your 3 teams. Who you got?
Steelers are still alive. I think Breech is actually right. I think the Bengals. I think the Bengals are going to find their way into it. Mathematically, they're still alive. Of course they are.
Yeah.
That's how math works.
So are the Panthers.
The Bengals. I think they're going to make it, Breech. And my concerns with the Chargers is that everyone on that team except for Justin Herbert is injured. That's a huge issue. I love that team, but I have those.
Brady Staley's getting fired and Sean Payton's taking over. That's
those concerns. And then also, I don't trust the Jets and I don't trust the Patriots, and I might not trust the Bills if we find out that Josh Allen can't play.
Yeah, so it's a lot of people you don't trust, Ryan. You have trust issues? That is insane. I do feel like, the Chiefs feel like a lock. The Dolphins feel like a lock, even though they have a rough schedule down the stretch. The Titans feel like a lock. The Ravens feel like a lock.
Titans are going to win the division before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I think I knocked the Patriots out. I put the Bengals in. And then, man, I don't know. Knock out the Jets.
I think
and put the Chargers in.
The thing about the Jets,
nice. The Chargers. Like it.
No, I don't know about the Chargers, man.
The Chargers still have to play the Raiders, the Broncos, the Rams, the Cardinals, and the Colts.
That's a great point.
Breech, could you remind me why the Chargers didn't go to the playoffs last year?
Because they went 9-8.
Did they decline a free tie and a free trip to the playoffs against the Raiders they just declined it
because of questionable coaching. Questionable coaching.
I think Sean Payton wants that job in Los Angeles pretty bad. I think Pete's right on this. Sean Payton and Justin Herbert would be pretty hot.
The team has 4 players that are healthy. I don't think Joe Lombardi is actually the answer. But my point is that they played for 55 minutes with the 49ers with 4 players. So I get it, and obviously Sean Payton is going to be able to probably pick his place. But I mean, they're 5-4. It's not like we're talking about the Jaguars, who are 3-7, or Josh McDaniel, who's 2-7. I mean,
those teams are worse. But I mean, we're not talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers at 3-6. I think if I were picking right now, man, is Miami going to win this damn division?
Yes.
God, that's crazy. I mean, I bet it. Miami winning the AFC East.
Are you going to donate half the proceeds?
Buffalo was like, this is our division. After 20 years of just Bill Belichick like raining hellfire down on everyone. And then Miami's like, actually, it's our division. Would be crazy. I think the Bengals would make the playoffs for sure. God, you know who's going to make the playoffs too?
God, I hate when you guys all agree with that.
No,
I don't think they're going to make it.
You know who else is making it?
Who?
Jeff Saturday. I mean, Matt Ryan, like you're not going to make it with Sam Ellinger. You might make it with Matt Ryan.
Breech, if this makes you feel any better, Stephen O going into this weekend had the Bengals playoff chances at 30%. So I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse.
It makes me feel better.
No, dude.
Better, he said.
Jeff Saturday gets coach of the year if the Colts make the playoffs.
Can you? Yeah, you can win as interim coach.
Can you bet that? Holy sugar puff. Is he even on the board?
And don't forget, in pure Ryan Wilson fashion, Mike Florio tweeted that he would get a tattoo if
the Colts
go undefeated with Jeff Saturday.
I mean, I don't want to get torched for having bad takes on Jeff Saturday, but I'm willing to get torched if it means Mike Florio has to get a Colt horseshoe on his ass.
So the Colts playoff chances before they did what they did to the Vikings was 10.4%. So that obviously will go up. Had the Browns beaten the Dolphins, and the spread was only like +4 for a while, their playoff chances would have gone from the teens to 25%. And I was thinking they were sort of a dark horse because you get Deshaun Watson back, and if they could replicate what they did to Breech's team before the bye a couple weeks ago and do that to the Dolphins, then they'd be cooking with gas. But clearly, Jesus had a different plan.
I do think it's interesting to note the strength of victory here in terms of winning percentage. Like the Bills, everybody's like panicking about the Bills, and we spent 30 minutes talking about them. 527 winning percentage, or in terms of the strength of victory. Like the Josh Allen elbow injury, of course, like changes everything about this AFC playoff race. I mean, I just don't know. I'm trying to figure out. Like, I think the Bengals can jump in. I think the Jets maybe fall out. The Pats could fall out too. What about Cleveland with Deshaun coming back?
The Browns have 3.
The Browns needed to win this game.
Remember all that thing we said about a team having to go
6-1.
They have to go 7-1 to get to
what
10-7. You think the Browns are going 7-1?
No, they're not.
And even if you only want, if 9 games is getting in,
5 of the
they're going
conference already,
6-2.
If any team's going 7-1, Breach, it's going to be the Steelers. We all know that. Kenny
All right,
Pickett.
so
Now, I would have to go 7-1, but the Browns' next 2 games are against the Bills and Buccaneers.
If they get 2-0, then we'll reevaluate. How about that?
They have the Bills, the Buccaneers, the Bengals, and the Ravens still left.
let's do a lightning round on 4 games. Wilson, tell me something interesting about Saints Steelers. I didn't realize that game happened today.
Okay, that's weird, but
Oh my God, just give me a quick synopsis of it.
turns out Breach, Andy Dalton still stinks through 2 interceptions.
Oh!
The Steelers
Still
have gone to a running.
Oh!
Are you done? I mean,
yeah, I'm done now.
Are you sure? Because I'm willing to sit here and
Oh!
Okay, now I'm done.
yeah. The funniest thing is, like, this is your podcast, and you somehow make it worse by doing the things that you do. But that's the issue.
Yeah, that's what I do.
By the way, Breach, this is a little a sad Andy Dalton fact, which I'm probably sure you know. Joe Rutter, the Trip Review in Pittsburgh, before the game noted that Andy Dalton, not only has Andy Dalton lost 7 starts in a row against the Steelers, his teams that he's played for, whether the Bengals or the Cowboys or the Saints, have dropped 12 straight when facing them, whether he's on the field or on the sidelines.
My God. So you just don't have Andy Dalton on your team if you're facing the Steelers.
Yeah, so it's gone up to 8-13 now. The Steelers did running back by committee, Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, and that finally had some success, but they still are not very good.
Your fun fact for Texans Giants. The Giants are the first team in NFL history to start 7-2 or better, with all of their wins coming by 1 score. This team is the replica of the first year. Remember when the Bills made the playoffs and like our buddy, how was his name? He went to law school, had a hyphen in his last name. I can't remember. Anyway, he complained when the Sean McDermott benched Tyrod Taylor for Nathan Peterman. And Nathan Peterman probably threw 4 picks against the Chargers. This is the replica of that first year Sean McDermott Bills team. The Giants are. They beat the Texans. They move on. So, Cardinals Rams. Who wants to provide a fun fact for this? Ms.
Oh,
the barrel.
I'll give you a fun fact.
Game. Okay.
Let's see what I write down. I think I have it.
Oh,
yeah, here it is.
I know what you're doing. Stop it.
No, I'm looking. I wrote this down right before I did HQ. So, Breach, what do you think the Cardinals' record is on the road since 2021?
11-3.
It's good because they suck at home. So, what did Brinson say? 11-3. Is that right?
Yeah, he's continuing
it was a graphic on the TV.
Continue to sabotage his own podcast, but that was my fun fact, which is hilarious.
I nailed the answer completely.
All right, what's next?
I think. By the way, I think that week 11. I would say the over-under for Matthew Stafford being shut down for the year, week 11 and a half. Over-under.
I mean, it's week 10 now. Week 10 might be the over-under.
You lose next week.
And Cooper Kupp hurt his ankle. I think he's not as bad as I thought it was. So that's...
You win the Super Bowl. You move on. You reset, come back next year. Sean McVay will be... There will be so many profiles of Sean McVay this offseason. He's rejuvenated. Rededicating himself, et cetera, et cetera. Breach. Again, another team I didn't realize played today. Your Super Bowl winner before the season, the Denver Broncos, played your hometown team, the Tennessee Titans.
You know what? The Broncos actually they actually looked good in the first half. They were up 10-0, Brinson. And then it just got ugly, and they turned the Broncos. You know what, though? Ryan Tannehill actually looked good. The Titans, this would have been a big win for Denver because you're dominating a first-place team.
Take off the brawn, be a man.
But I think I've brought this stat up before. There have only been 15 games this year where a team has won a game scoring 17 or fewer points. And how many of those 15 games do you think the Broncos have been involved in?
All of them.
So the Broncos touchdown was a 68-yard touchdown pass in the first quarter.
And he was completely uncovered.
To a guy who caught his first career NFL pass ever. He had never caught a pass before this.
I think that's why he was uncovered. Like they didn't know he was actually on the team, and he's just sort of standing there.
And they finished with 10 points.
Yes,
you're acting
surprised.
Right. This is the Denver Broncos.
That sounds right. And so, how frustrated do you think their defense is getting? You give up 17 points. You think you're going to win. You completely shut down Derrick Henry, who only had 53 yards. You think you're going to win, and your offense just kapoots and falls all over its face. So I would say, look, the Titans didn't play that well, but they won.
What is a kapoot?
Kapoot.
Is
that a real word? Or is that a Breech word?
It's definitely not a verb. You go kaput.
Which
the Broncos you're referring to is a poot.
The Broncos season is kaput. I think we can all agree on that. But sure, Breech. I like your word too.
The Broncos went kapoots.
I'm not German.
Did you think like a kaput was like an ostrich fart or like what?
It's when you go poot, but then you go ka. It's what toddlers do.
All right, fair enough. Learn something today.
I was having neither one of us say anything until Breech tried to correct it. All right. Winners, losers. One each. Let's go. Breech, you can start. Kaput us off.
Do I start with my winner or my loser?
Your choice. Dealer's choice.
Yeah.
You know what? Choice. My winner is Justin Jefferson.
That's an easy one, huh?
Yep, took the easy one. Took the easy way out here.
Okay. My winner is, let's see who. Oh, that's an easy one. Jeffrey Saturday the 3rd.
Oh, yeah, that's a good call. Oh, man. I was debating between Dan the Man Campbell, but I think I gotta go with Tua Tagovailoa.
Oh boy.
39 points. They're leading the AFC East. They got a guy in the stands holding up a tour receipts thing.
That never blows up in your face.
Yeah, never backfires at all. Jeff Saturday's a good one though. Breech, your loser.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Mike McCarthy.
That's an easy one. Him or his camel hair jacket, because they both had a tough day.
Like that. The video was he's just. And he's up 14. Oh, it's just such a. Oh, it's a bad loss.
Do you think he bought a new jacket, or do you think he still had that from his days in Dallas?
100% bought it.
I think I would bet a lot of money that camel hair jacket that he wore to the game was like the one he wore into the Super Bowl or like some big game in Green Bay. It's like a memorable jacket. That's why. Yeah,
he was missing his pork pie hat. What are those hats called?
The Kangol.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy in a pork pie hat is unacceptable.
That would have been the
like
chef's kiss. All right, my loser. I'm going to keep it in Vegas. It's Josh McDaniels, and the fact that he has a job should anger people who are currently looking for employment, because that man should be nowhere near a head coaching job in the NFL based on the first 10 weeks of the season.
I'm going to say my loser is Sean McVay.
I guess. I mean, that team is so banged up, but I mean,
actually, I'll find a different one.
That's fine.
When you win the Super Bowl, though, it's like you can take a bad season. How about Josh Allen?
That's a good one.
He's hurt.
4 red zone turnovers in 2 games.
He's the last 10 quarters have been terrible.
I think he leads the NFL in interceptions. I might be wrong on that, but I think he does.
Oh, did we not talk about 49ers Chargers? We skipped Sunday Night Football? Wow, that's on me.
I don't know. You're in charge of the rundown.
Well, that's actually on EK. What do you put it on there? All right, we'll talk about 49ers Chargers real quick. That's a great game, actually.
Yeah, you put it there, number 9.
Yeah, that's on EK. Sorry.
Okay, fair enough.
That's on EK for putting it on the rundown and you skipping it.
I'll take the L on that one. We changed up the
Jeez, will you? Thank you. Thank you for taking responsibility for something that you didn't do.
Yeah, the PS was right. We because we always start with Sunday Night Football. I thought we had 30 minutes on the freaking Bills Vikings.
That was a great game. There was nothing wrong with that.
All right.
So here's my takeaway.
I was kidding. 49ers Chargers.
So here's my takeaway in that game. Justin Herbert had 4 injured receivers out. He lost Gerald Everett in the game with a groin injury. And the guys that were left, DeAndre Carter's a special teamer. Josh Palmer's in year 2. He's good, but he's not a number 1. Austin Eckler can't be your number 1 as a wide receiver, although he had to assume that role late in the game. And they were hanging on for dear life, and I thought they played as well as they could have played. And I haven't even talked about the injuries on the other side. And for the 49ers, it felt like to me that they were sort of feeling their way through the first half. And then once they started running the ball, with Elijah Mitchell, by the way, not Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell finally returned. He went off. It feels like this is just a matter of figuring things out over the next few weeks. As we noted, they're going to the playoffs because the NFC is so terrible. No one's going to catch them. And then once they hit late December, early January, it'll be all systems go in terms of how this offense operates.
Do you think that Christian McCaffrey was like going home tonight thinking, man, this dude just got off IR and they traded mad draft picks for me and they gave Eli Mitchell more carries than they gave me?
That's good.
Eli Mitchell is good. I just think
why trade for him if you got you? That's what I've been saying. Like
right. I mean, I would have given Christian McCaffrey.
What's the Niners record to say traded for Christian McCaffrey?
Are you saying that?
I'm just
know. I'm asking you.
Like you should know
Wilson.
that.
It's like, hey Wilson, what are the odds to win the AFC East? What is the record of the 49ers since they traded for Christian McCaffrey?
Have they? How many games they played? 1 or 2?
2, and they're 2-0.
They're 2-0. Yeah, I knew they had a bye in there, so I wasn't sure if the.
So they haven't lost.
So you're a running back wins guy. Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I think McCaffrey makes the offense better, and the 49ers are going to be a problem the rest of the season.
Okay.
There's no chance they're under 15-1, or they're over 15-1 to win the Super Bowl.
The Chargers had 52 yards of offense in the second half, and you can pin that on what Wilson said with all the injuries.
Like everyone agrees the Niners are about to rip off a stretch of wins. They're minus 220 to win the division.
I will say one of the things, the Chargers had no chance in the second half. Breech noted the yardage they had. They were banged up. They didn't get anything done. But I will say that the officials, once again, they pulled a Gabe Davis in this game when, I'm not sure who it was for the 49ers, caught the ball at the 1 yard line. For some stupid reason, either the long snapper or the punter congratulated him by hugging him and pushing him to the end zone. And Terry McAuliffe's like, that is a freaking touchback. Why are they putting the ball at the 1 yard line? A huge, egregious mistake. I don't think it mattered. They would have gotten the ball to 20. I don't think the Chargers are going to mount anything based on the way they played prior in the second half. But again, it's just such a glaring error that should be so easily fixed. And yet, here we are.
By the way, they're actually a 2-1 with McCaffrey.
There you go.
Pull up your pants, take off the bra, and be a man.
I think I feel like we talked about the Chargers because we were discussing the wild card conversation. Like if they miss the playoffs, Brandon Staley has to be fired.
Okay, I don't think so, but maybe.
You have Justin Herbert for 2 years, you don't make the playoffs?
Everyone on this team is hurt. They've had Keenan Allen for like 40 snaps.
Dude, everyone on this team has been, first of all, everyone on this team has been hurt for years. Years.
That seems like organizational issue.
I agree with that.
Yeah, he's not the trainer.
Are you a Staley Stan? What's going on here? Sean Payton's taking over this team. I'm with Prisco. Sean Payton's taking over this team next year.
Okay, that very well might happen. I don't know if Brandon Staley deserves to be fired, is all I'm saying.
I don't know.
What do you think, Breech?
The roster's loaded, man. You should make the playoffs.
I think the Spanuses will sit down at the end of the season if they don't make the playoffs and say, how can we sell a bunch of tickets and make money? And it might involve hiring Sean Payton.
I think Sean Payton is going to be like, hey, I will come coach this team and we will win a bunch of games. And they will say, deal. Bye, Brandon.
Thomas Scott in this chat makes a good point. This is the same trainers who stabbed Tyrod Taylor to the lungs. Fair enough.
Yeah, dude. And that's the only reason they figured out how to start Justin Herbert in the first place.
I cannot dispute that, Thomas. That is a fantastic point, one which I had forgotten about.
They were trying to get Tyrod ready for a start over Justin Herbert. Accidentally jabbed him in the lungs. He couldn't play. So they're like, well, Justin, go play the Chiefs. And Herbert went nuts. They're not even accidental geniuses. They're accidental idiots. That'll do it for us. Thanks for watching. Actually, you know what? Yeah, we'll get done.
I already did my sign off. You can't change.
I was going to a Super Bowl draft thing. We'll leave anyway.
Next week.
Wilson's tired. Bye. For Wilson, for Breech, I'm Brinson. See you guys later.